All right, so we are going to look at graphing equations in this module. We're going to look specifically at standard form in this particular lesson. So standard form is right here for you. AX plus BY equals C. So the important part about that is that X and Y are both on the same side of the equal sign. So those A, B, and C values, excuse me, will always be filled up by numbers. So really we're just focused on the X and the Y being on the same side, okay? So we're going to look at just the most basic horizontal and vertical lines, okay? So we always want to think about these horizontal and vertical lines being opposite the axis. So they look a little weird when you first look at them. Because if I look at this y equals 4, there's no x to go with it, right? Usually I would see something like x plus y equals 4. But you have I call these special case lines, or horizontal or vertical line, if you only have an x or you only have a y. So what you want to do is you just want to find the axis. So this is y, so I'm going to find the y-axis, and my line is going to be opposite that axis. So if the y-axis is vertical, my line is going to be horizontal, and I want it to go through the number 4. So right here's where it's going to go through. So it goes through this point right here on the y-axis, and it goes opposite the axis. So that's a y equals line opposite the y-axis. So again, the y-axis is the vertical, so my line is going to be horizontal. Okay, if I look at number 2, first thing I want to do is find my x-axis. So this is my x-axis, which is horizontal. I want to go opposite the axis, so I'm going to go vertical. And I want to go vertical through that number right there, so I'm going to go vertical through -2 right here. So I put my point at -2, and then I go opposite the axis. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Opposite the axis that it's showing, make sure you go through that number. So go ahead and pause the video, try 3 and 4, and then you can play the video when you're ready for me. All right, so number 3 is y. So y is the vertical axis, so I want to go horizontal through -3. So there's my intersection point, and I go opposite the axis. On number 4, it's x. X is the horizontal axis, so I want to go vertical through +5. So vertical through +5. Okay? So those are my special case horizontal and vertical lines. Let's look at the ones that are diagonal. Okay, so these are going to look a little more normal, per se. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to use something called the cover-up method. So you can see up here in the diagram, for a y-intercept, which crosses the y-axis, you see that x is 0, right? That's true about any point on this axis, because I'm going to go over none, up or down something, right? So over none has to be a 0 in the x spot. In the reverse order, if I'm looking at an x-intercept that crosses this x-axis, I go over something, up or down nothing if I have to stay on this axis. So going up or down nothing has to give me my 0 in the y spot. So for the y-intercept, x is 0. For the x-intercept, y is 0. Okay, so we're going to use something called the cover-up method. So let's look at number 5 together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I can do it over here. I'm going to rewrite my function over here. So x plus 2y equals 6. Okay, just to kind of visually show you this. Okay, so you can kind of do this with your finger if you want to. I'm just going to actually scratch out what I don't want. So for, let's see, let's break this into 2. So x and y. Okay, so for my x-intercept, I know that y is 0. So if I plug a 0 right here for y, 2 times 0 is 0. And really anything times 0 is 0. So I cover up that term. So if you cover up that term, all you have to do is now just write down what's left. So what's left is x equals 6. And that's it. X equals 6. That's my x-intercept. So that means over here on my x-axis on my graph, remember x-intercept crosses the x-axis, so x-axis at 6. So there's my first point. Now I'm going to get my second point. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Can I just get rid of the blue? No, I can't. Let me erase it. I'll just erase it. And put my 2y back. Okay. So now for my y-intercept, remember a y-intercept, the x is 0. So now I'm going to cover up the x term. So I cover up the x term. What's left? 2y equals 6. That one, unlike the x equals 6, needs a little bit of solving, right? Because I got to get y by itself. So I just do my simple step of dividing by 2. And I end up with y equals 3. And now that's my y-intercept. So I go to positive 3 on the y-axis. There's my second point. Connect them with a line, and you're done. Okay, so the cover-up method. Let's try one more. All right, so let's come over here to number 6. I'm going to rewrite over here just so I have room to work. 3x plus 4y equals 24. Then I need my x-intercept and my y-intercept. All right, so for my x-intercept, we want to cover up y. So I'm covering up this term, right? So cover up this term. What do you have left? You have 3x equals 24. So 3x, oops. Sorry about that. So I have 3x equals 24. And then I just solve what's left. Divide by 3. Divide by 3. X equals 8. So there's my x-axis. Okay, and then for my y-intercept, remember for a y-intercept, you cover up x. So if I cover up this x right here, I'm left with 4y equals 24. So 4y equals 24. Solve what's left. Divide by 4, and you get y equals 6. So then y equals 6 on my y-axis, and connect them with a line. All right. So you can go ahead and pause the video, scroll to the next page, and do the 4 try these on that page. Then you can go ahead and play when you're ready for me. Okay, so taking them one at a time here. Looking at number 7. If I cover up the y term for the x-intercept, I'm left with 2x equals 4. Divide by 2 and you get x equals 2. For my y-intercept, cover up the x term, you're left with negative y. Got to be careful with that sign. Equals 4, right? Negative y equals 4. I got to divide by negative 1 to get positive y. So now I have positive y equals negative 4. So there's my x and y-intercept. X is going to be a positive 2. Y is going to be a negative 4. And put a line through it. Okay. Looking at number 8. For my x-intercept, cover up the y term, and I'm left with x equals negative 9. That one's already done for me. That's great. For my y-intercept, I want to cover up x. So if I cover up x, I'm left with 3y equals negative 9. Divide by 3. And y equals negative 3 for my y-intercept. So x is going to be negative 9. Y is going to be negative 3. Connect them with a line, and you're done. All right, 2 more here. Number 9. So for my x-intercept, cover up y. And when I cover up y, I'm left with negative 2x equals 10. Divide by negative 2. And I'm left with x equals negative 5. Left off my negative. There's my negative. For my y-intercept, okay, I want to cover up x. If I cover up x, I'm left with 5y equals 10. Divide by 5. And y equals 2. So x equals 5. Y equals 2. Connect them with a line. And 9's done. One more. Okay, number 10. For my x-intercept, I want to cover up y, so I'm left with 4x equals 12. Divide by 4 on both pieces. And you end up with x equals 3. There's my x. For my y-intercept, I want to cover up the x. So I make sure, and I kind of said this quickly last time, when I see 4x minus 6y, If I take out this x term right here, this is really negative 6y, right? Because the sign in front of the 6y is a negative. So it's negative 6y equals 12. That's what I meant earlier when I said make sure you don't lose that sign. Okay, so now I'm dividing by a negative 6, which is going to give me y equals negative 2. Okay, so my x is positive 3, y is negative 2. Connect it with a line, and you're done.